We're starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Epstein Files Review. If you're new to the channel, it's an 18 and up channel, so if you're under the age of 18, I have to ask you to leave. Getting right back into it, like I said, we got 3 million files to get through, so we're going to jump right in. I always like to recap the last file, which was file 600. We were looking at door W, and we're just going to continue from here. So we got lots of files to get through, so let's get right to it. No fluff. Let me see. All right, this looks like a bedroom here. Once again, we've got the voyeur chairs here and the couches and an ottoman here, all surrounding the bed. Every room in this house, especially the bedrooms, has multiple seating. For what reason? I'm sure we can all guess. Look at this, facing the bed, facing the bed. There was some very interesting things happening in this New York estate with Epstein. Here's a linen closet. I'd like to thank everybody that's been commenting, subbing, and hitting the like button and getting the word out, because that's exactly what we need to do. Here's a little bathroom, because like I always say, we cannot let this dissipate, okay? Because these Epstein files, there's a lot of diversions and things like that to distract us from what's happening. We got wars and things going on. There's another bathroom, and there's an elephant in the room, and this is definitely it. And we're going to observe every aspect of that elephant. Here's a hallway. And for those who are viewing that haven't subbed, 3 million files, you might want to sub so you know exactly when videos are made, because there's going to be a lot of them. You don't want to get behind, because if you get a couple hundred files behind, then you're going to have to be a few months behind. All right, so here's a hallway leading to that same room. You can see that ottoman, 608. Here's another hallway. We've got a chair here. Some pictures on the wall. Looks like architecture of some kind. Looks like, let me see. This kind of looks like that stairwell in the main portion of Epstein's house, where they had the woman in the bridal dress hanging off the rope. Also, very weird decor. That's not normal, but that could be something else, but that's what it reminds me of. This looks like some buildings here. Okay. All right. Door X. Got a hallway here. Another hallway. Okay, we got some pipes, some drainage here. There's another hallway. And there's a bathroom. Picture of a scantily clad woman. Of course, is redacted. And that weird leg coming out of the wall above the bathtub. Very, very strange. Not normal decor. There's another look at that leg here over the bathtub. Looks like a ballet shoe. This is definitely a young person's leg. I mean, just look at from the knee to the foot. That's probably like a 4-year-old. All right, here's the his and her sink, that same bathroom. And here's some gym equipment in a closet. Another linen closet. There's robes in every closet, it seems like. Here's a hallway with a little chest on the floor there. And we got an exercise room with a weird artifact in it. I don't know if this is a stretching beam or some sort of ballet beam, but this looks like an exercise room. More exercise equipment, some rings here. It's another hallway. I think that might be that chest that we saw earlier. Just a different angle of that same room. All right, another angle of the exercise equipment. There's that ballet beam again. There's some rollers, medicine balls. All right, it's got some boxing gloves here, boxing shoes. All right, more boxing gloves, different angle of the same closet there, some dumbbells up there. We're going to skip past, well, we're not going to skip past, but we're going to skim through the files that don't really have much relevance to what we're here for. The speed bag, so this is another section of that same room. This is the room we were in a minute ago. So it looks like a 2-room workout area. There's another angle of that same room. Got some weights over there. All right, room Y. And here's an elevator. For now, we're going to keep these episodes about 30 minutes. Here's another closet, just so it's more digestible. We don't want to overwhelm anybody with too much information at once. Okay, I don't know what that is. There's a picture there. This is a hallway. It looks like this. Let me see if we can see who's in this picture. I can't make out who that is right there. Is that a woman? It looks like that's a horse right there. Maybe, oh, it's someone on a horse. And I don't know what this is. Looks, maybe that's a leg. I'm not sure. And we're going back down the stairs. So what I'm noticing, that they've gone through this whole house or mansion, whatever you want to call it. So it looks like they took pictures all the way up, and then they're going to take pictures all the way back down, which is pretty thorough. We'd rather have more pictures than less. Another picture of that hallway. All right, headed down to the 3rd floor. There's those fire extinguishers. All right, this looks like a room that maybe it was getting some renovations done. Room T. Another angle of that same room. All right, here's some redacted pictures and more redacted pictures. Looks like this is a bathroom. Can't make this out. Some legs here. And if you're looking the knee to foot ratio there, it's probably a young person. We don't want to speculate, but we're just making the facts the facts. Another redacted photo. You really can't see much in that photo. It's kind of blotted out with the light. This is in that same bathroom. That might just be another angle of the picture we were just looking at. And here's a picture of Jeffrey with someone who appears to be young on his shoulder, and it's redacted. All right, here's a closet with some, looks like tribal clothing, these moccasins. Hat's got Russian on it, and looks like some sort of crown of some sort. All right, we're back in the hallway here. All right, hallway, there's a picture, you can't really make it out. And we got a linen closet here. More linens. More linens here. More linens. More linens. And here's a blue room here. There's a picture we can't really make out in the corner there. There's another angle of that picture. It's still a partial. And there looks like there's a photo down here on the floor. See if we could take a closer look at that. That looks like Jeffrey with someone next to him. This weird face thing on a piece of wood. All right, we are about 50% through this episode. We got a U here, room U. See where this leads. All right, this is a wide angle of the same room, and of course you've got that voyeur chair right in front of the bed. Let me see, you got some pictures over here. Let's see if we can make out what's in some of these photos. That looks like Jeffrey holding a young person right there. An adult with a young person. That looks like a young person. Excuse me, I gotta take a sip of my coffee. Got a frog in my throat. All right. Still there, but we're gonna move forward. Got some photos over here. All right, so here's another angle of that room. Excuse me. All right, so you got a picture, it looks like a painting above this couch, so more voyeur furniture here. It's a scantily clad woman laying on a bed. All right, this is going to be room V. Okay, this is another bathroom here. You've got some weird sculpture here. 2 sets of feet. This looks like a grown person. This might be a young person. All right, this is another angle of that massage room. So yeah, they're working their way back down through the house. I know we had an episode where we covered this massage room pretty extensively. There's the photo of the woman that looks like she's in a dumpster in this post-apocalyptic scenario here. And here's this figure here that's basically got the exact same posture as the naked woman here. And of course, you've got the lubes and massage oils on the table there, and of course, his phone. Phone in every room. All right, so here's a picture of a woman staring in a mirror, naked, the oils and whatnot over here, the phone, and the tanning light. So this is the massage room. Here's a hallway look of that same room. All right, we're headed to room P. All right, this looks like a closet. It's got some coat hangers here, some plastic, most likely just storage. Here's a wide angle of, I don't know if these are rooms or closets, but it's got a giant ottoman in the middle. Weird curtains over here. All right, it's a different angle of that same room. All right, we're headed to room S. All right, we're headed back down the stairs. Here's another redacted picture. I'm assuming we're going to the 2nd floor, if I'm not mistaken, for keeping track here. All right, here's some more pictures. So we must have went down another floor. I believe this is the picture of the woman that testified that she was an orphan and Epstein offered her a plane ride in a private plane, and then everything else bad started to happen to her. I believe there's an interview out there with her. I don't know what this is. Maybe this is his New Mexico property, but it looks like a desert. All right, here's a little island. I don't know if that's Little St. James. All right, it's a picture of a woman's breast. Here's the second floor, and of course, he's got his fire extinguishers. All right, we got a picture of a small kitchen here. Room J is a kitchen. Room J again. All right, he's got his picnic wear in the house here. Looks like one of those outdoor patio sets that you would normally have outside, but for some reason it's in the house. Another angle of that patio set. Now, mind you, this is used to block the sun. There would be no sun inside of the house, so I don't really recognize the purpose of having this. Looks like there's some sort of curtain over brick wall. Oh, what did I just do? All right, there's another angle of that table. More angles of this table. They've put a lot of significance on this table for some strange reason. All right, room K here. All right, so this is the main office. I believe we've covered that. He's got his books, his Magellan scope, some African artifacts. Got his horses up here. Jeffrey's glasses. I think that's pretty much all there is to see here. Something weird up here. I don't know what that is. All right, here's a wide angle of that room. Some sculptures here. Let me see what this little one is. In the corner, I can't make that out. Looks like a president head, maybe. Another head there. This weird looking picture there. Okay, there's another painting. This is the same room, just from a different angle. Okay, I don't see anything too significant. Like I always say in the comments section, if you guys see anything that I'm not picturing here or seeing, there's some photos over here, please point it out, because I would love to engage that conversation, because, you know, we're figuring all of this out together, and more eyes are better than one set. All right, some more sculpture heads over here, hallway, another painting there. This looks like it's got stick figures in it or something. All right, we are 80% through this episode. All right, we're headed to room L. Okay, you got those leopard chairs. I'm assuming this is the hallway that has the woman in the gown hanging on the rope, and those are those cloud pictures on the second floor. You've got this animal eating another animal here. All right, there's an island. I don't know if that's Little St. James. You got your sink here in the hallway, your checkered pattern chairs, which is a big deal in Masonic rituals. It's my understanding that the black and the white signals the balance between good and evil, because these people believe if they do enough good with enough evil that it balances out, which we know is not the case. Can't really see this picture here because the light is blotting it out, but I'm assuming that's that little bathroom. There's the elevator doors. Another painting here. Let's see if we can make out what's in there. Looks like a woman sitting on the edge of a bed. And there's someone standing there, or maybe it's a reflection. Here's another picture. Let's see if we can get a close-up of what this is. I can't make that out. Is that a hand? This might be a head, someone laying on a pillow or something. Alright, here's a picture of a scantily clad woman. Another painting over here. We got some mouthwash. And this fallen angel looking thing with a clock on it. There's no way you can go to this guy's house and not think he was up to something weird. Okay, here's room N. Alright, here's that boat. And some books here. Got the candles. This is the fireplace. Some sculptures over there, probably more heads. I believe we took a look at this room because I was speaking about that dresser thing in a previous episode. More mirrors, lots of mirrors. And there's a mirror here within a mirror. All right, moving right along. Okay, here's a wide angle of the room. You got some more pictures here. This is Epstein with, I don't know who this is. This guy looks like he could be a Rothschild. Somebody who's probably a Middle Eastern dignitary here because it looks like he's got like the garb on. He's got these egg things. All right. Another angle of the room. Giant stuffed tiger on the floor. Some more pictures, but it's facing the opposite way. It's a pretty dark room. It's got crescent flags over here, lion heads, lots of gold italics. All right, we are 90% through this episode. Like I said, I want to make this digestible. I don't want to overwhelm anybody. There's some books here. Okay, here's another angle of that room from the couch. What is this over here? I don't know if this was used as a coat hanger, but some gold structure there. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. You can't really make it out. Yeah, I don't know what that is. All I know is it's weird. Okay, here's that fireplace again. Another angle of the crescent. You can see it in the mirror, but that's what's on that wall right there. Another fire extinguisher. This guy was really concerned about fires. All right, here's another angle of the same room. They spent a lot of time in this room, but there does seem to be a lot going on in this room. It seems like a big room, so you would need to take a lot of pictures. Let me see if I can make out. Can't make out what's in that photo right there. All right, this is room O. Okay, here is a kitchen sink. He's got a crucifix here. It's my understanding he was Jewish, but Jesus definitely needed to be in this house. All right. We are 96% through the episode. There's another hallway. Nothing too crazy there. More pictures here. Going back down. I'm assuming we're headed back down to the first floor of the ground level. This might be Italy, where they have the gondola boats, some body of water. And what is this? Can't really make out what that is. Is that a person? This could be somebody kneeling down naked. I can't really make it out. All right, here's another picture. Looks like they're looking through some bars here. All right, we are 99% through this episode. Let me see. There's the ethnic picture of man in African garb. Might be a celebration. I don't know what these are on the floor. And file number 700. We're back at the ground level. I figure we're going back to the ground level. So yeah, they went up through the house, took pictures, and then they went back down through the house and took more pictures. So will we be in another house or reviewing some other files in file 700? I guess, excuse me, 701. We'll have to find out in the next episode, but I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. I've had you guys here long enough. It's been about 25 minutes, so we want to keep these episodes digestible. And like I said, thanks for the comments and the likes, and make sure you share because this information does have to get out. We cannot let this be forgotten. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Feel free to ask any questions in the comment section, and I'll try to get to them. Till then, I will see you guys in the next episode where we will be starting back off at file 701. Take care.